I want to be independent. I don't need a man. I can do this all on my own.
A few moments later.
I just found out today that my ex-husband is engaged and I'm unwell. And like, even though, yes, it was me that was like, hi, I want divorce. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. It brings up all these feelings. It brings up all this like stuff. And we have a kid and it brings up all this stuff around him.
Tomorrow is my divorce day and it's been a lot, to say the least. This moment I have equally dreaded and looked forward to, and the fact that it is now coming to an end officially tomorrow is mind-blowing. I cannot wait. I'm so impressed and proud of myself that I have been able to get through this divorce alone. To be 25 years old and doing something of this caliber is huge. I am the youngest out of my friends to be married, and now I'm the youngest out of my friends to be divorced. So I'm gonna hold that with a lot of pride.
Many months later.
Tomorrow's Christmas, and I'm just crying because of how hard it's been. I feel like I'm trying to prove to myself I can be strong. It's really like painful dealing with the loss of everything. Not having my husband.
Guess who's single again? It's okay. You know, I've just come out of a marriage, so single. I feel good.
3 days later.
I'm doing really ugly crying because, oh, I didn't know my cat was in here. She must have thought I was crazy. Oh, I'm just really realizing that my marriage is over and it's really bad. Oh, I'm really sad.
That's not fair. That is not fair! That is not fair!
Do you want to become a miserable old woman? I don't think any of us do. You've seen those women out there. The women that are nattering and nagging their husbands, that are bitchy, that aren't nice, that seem to be so unhappy, and we think, oh God, I hope I'm never one of those miserable old women. That happens from raising a family, working, and then all of a sudden we're in our 50s and 60s and we have nothing. We don't have a life. We don't have a life separate from our family or separate from our husband. And so we resent everybody. I did it. Here I am. It's amazing. I feel like a different person already. I feel like I can do whatever I want, and I'm not responsible for anybody anymore but me.
I don't know, things aren't going that great.
I didn't know. I guess I did know. I would have this really strong reaction physically, trauma reaction to finding out that my estranged husband has been having a new relationship.
I think when we talk about abortion, I think we really get into this idea of like when we should assign personhood, right? So you clearly believe that life begins at conception, and I think it would be better if we shift that metric to a more based on sentience. And I believe that and the question I have for you is that since you believe that life begins at birth, let's say we have a person that's grown to old age and they have died and they have absolutely showing no brain activity at all. Would you believe that shooting that person, that dead person, is the equivalent of a human life?
Yeah, I mean, it is a human life, but those are two totally separate things. One is no more, and the other one's not yet.
Right.
So not yet is different than no more. If someone's at the end of their life and there's nothing more we can do to continue their life, that is a different moral conversation than someone that has not yet been completely grown as a human as you and I. Two totally different moral circumstances, so you can't conflate the two.
Right. But I think they both have the same problem where, it's about the presence of consciousness, right?
No, it's not a problem. One, the consciousness will come. One will not.
Right.
So they're two separate things. One has potentiality, one does not. So you can't conflate the two together.
But okay, let's say, let me use a different analogy then. Let's say I have a blueprint to a building, right? And I have the materials for the building, and you destroy those materials. The materials of the building isn't the building in itself. Can we both agree that there's a difference between those two?
Is the building building itself in real time, and it's currently being constructed, and it's going up?
No, but
up?
it still doesn't really matter because they're still adding value to the fact that we're creating the building.
Bad analogy.
Right?
A blueprint. Because the blueprint not itself is not the building.
Right, exactly.
No,
so
I'm
if
saying,
you were to
a human being's DNA is not just.
We agree on that, though.
No,
the blueprint is not the building, so there's probably different moral qualifications.
No,
right?
they're not. I'm saying though that the baby is the building. So you're incorrect.
Okay, so
the building is following the blueprint.
So when you're looking at like I don't know, like a fertilized egg, you're telling me a picture of this fertilized egg is the equivalent of a human life right now. No, the exact same
What's the
thing.
difference?
The different stage of development.
No. So why should stage of development give you more rights.
Well, I mean, okay, you're acting like this is
No,
not something this is done in society. Like, for example, we do judge based on different stages of development, like in cognitive capabilities, right? I'm not letting a fetus drive a car. A fetus can't
but
drive.
No, hold on. Right to life.
Do alcohol and whatnot.
Apply the right to life to your stage of development.
This is a little bit different. So I guess a different question I would have to ask you is like, why I'm assuming your two qualifications here are the fact that like it's a unique cellular organism, right, that has the potential to life,
and it's
right?
human, which
and
is inherently has dignity.
So I guess then this brings on a question, because I know there's another scenario where this occurs, right, where fertilization of an egg occurs, and they're on track to development, correct? And this other example that I'll think of is like animals, right? I think why do we not give the same moral consideration to animals as we are to like zygotes in this situation?
Because animals aren't human beings.
Okay, but why is human beings?
Human beings have a soul and animals do not.
Have a soul. So this is my point, guys.
Soul is not just consciousness.
Is a conscious experience.
No, it's not.
You are
Let me prove it to
engaging
you.
in
Wrong.
This is dishonest though.
Let me prove it to you. When someone is quote unquote brain
Okay.
dead, do you know that they still respond if someone stabs them, their norepinephrine goes up? Do you know that a woman still menstruates if she's brain dead? So consciousness is not human worth. There's something else going on beyond consciousness that exists in a being that is the soul.
Romans 1 verse 22, claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. They thought they were really smart and knew everything, but in the end they became foolish. Even though they acted like they were wise, they made bad choices and turned away from God, which made them look silly instead of wise. How terrible. It's heartbreaking to watch. It is, really. What they truly need more than anything else is a genuine encounter with God. And I'm serious about this. Only He can restore their sense of purpose, heal the brokenness they might not even recognize. They might not even recognize it. And God, only Him, can lead them into a life of true peace and direction. Only God. And I pray that they find Him before it's too late. Before it's too late. Because time is short and the world isn't getting any better.
Okay, so now we're getting into a conversation of what the difference between a soul and a consciousness is. And
No, they're totally different. The soul is something beyond. Consciousness is your narration to yourself,
Okay.
your ability to reason. There's something above reason. All of us know what that is when it kicks in. You ever hear the expression, words can't describe? I am speechless. You know why? Speech is reason. When you see
Okay.
a sunset that takes your breath away, when you see a newborn life that is born, you don't even have the
Right,
words to
right,
express it
right.
because it transcends your
I
reason.
agree with that.
That is your soul.
So I mean that's a good point. Like when we give, what you just label there is like when a child is given born, when they're born, we give such moral significance to that, not the fact that like they got infertilized by an egg. I don't want to celebrate. I want to certify. I'd rather celebrate my birthday rather than like the day my parents had sex. That's kind of a little weird situation. You know what I mean? Like if life begins at conception.
Well, it's called your birthday for a reason,
Right,
but
'cause I'm born,
you were a
right?
living being, not.
It seems that like society
You
kind
were
of
9 months prior.
gravitates to this idea of like an actual human being existing that
Oh,
gives
no.
moral
That's-
value, right?
One is your entrance to the world. The other one
Right.
is the actual creation of your being. Two different
Right.
things. Your birthday is when you entered the world.
Right,
For example, your birthday could be at 28 weeks, not 36
Okay.
weeks. So everybody has a different day when you exit the womb, but it's
Okay.
not when your worth begins. That's not when your value begins. That's simply when you exit the womb.
Right. So I have a good question. I really want to get back to this idea of like you give more moral value to the level of the fact that like that humans that are developed have a soul in comparison to like a zygote that, or actually no, animals
or a
animals, is
coyote.
that- Okay, so is that not the same comparison to like a zygote to a developed human being in the sense that we are a higher functioning conscious being in comparison to like this other thing that we can just actively kill whenever
It doesn't
we want?
matter. I
Why
mean,
does
can
it
you
not matter,
actively
though?
kill a 1-year-old? Doesn't have as much acuity as you do or consciousness.
Right, yeah, but like I mean,
Can
that's
you?
not the,
Can you kill a 1-year-old?
That's the same thing because like this is
Of
like, going
course
back
it's the
to
same
my
thing.
like
What's the
idea of
difference in a
sentience,
1-year-old
right?
and a 1-day-old zygote? What's the moral difference?
The level of consciousness.
Oh,
right?
so one's bigger. One's more developed. One's older.
One more
The
developed.
consciousness
No,
is completely
sure,
irrelevant.
Sure.
Because
How is
just
it
you know that
irrelevant?
a 1-day-old out of the womb doesn't have a lot of consciousness at all.
Okay, sure,
It
that's
can't
fine.
speak. It can't really. It's kind of
Right.
like disembobulated.
But
you don't get less rights for that.
I agree. I mean, like, well, to a certain degree, I agree with that. But like, there is a meaningful difference between a fertilized egg and a conscious
What is
human
it?
being. One is less conscious than the other.
Oh no, one has more skills. But like, what's the innate moral difference? And prove it to me.
Because it seems like we do restrict rights, and we do actually change rights based on development and consciousness.
No,
and
about life.
experience,
So
right?
like a 4-year-old,
right?
What is the innate moral difference of a 4-year-old and a zygote?
One is more conscious.
Okay, got it. So I think that's irrelevant. I think they're both human beings deserving of protection. Consciousness alone is not a marker of dignity.
Okay, but so then what is your marker of dignity? Is
Being
that
a human being.
Being a human being. So is your argument a little bit circular though? There, it's just like it's just because we deserve rights because we're a human being.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's self-evident. We are human beings with a soul, therefore we have rights.
So we deserve rights because we're human beings because we're human beings. So like, how am I supposed to win against this argument here?
You can't.
See. Okay, yeah, exactly. So it's inherently
it's called a self-evident truth.
So
it's called self-evident. So that's why the pro-life position is irrefutable. Because you have to posit human beings have rights.
And isn't that a kind of a concern that like we base all our entire ideology on this one illogical circle that?
No, it's not illogical. It's incredibly logical.
Right. So like,
we are human beings, and we believe that they matter.
Like, if you were to remove this circle here, then you would have to actually be pro-life in the sense to be pro-life to all life.
Oh, we are.
Kind of animals.
But we don't believe human beings are.
I'm not like a vegan or anything. I'm not vegetarian.
But human beings are not the moral same as a bird. It's not the same thing. For multiple reasons. Because a human being has characteristics and qualities, and most importantly, we believe as Christians, human beings have a soul that a bird does not have.
Okay, so characteristics and qualities.
And let me interrupt one more. The West, whether you agree or not, sorry to interrupt, we believe the human being is the only thing made in the image of the Creator. Imago Dei.
Okay, so when you say characteristics and qualities, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me?
Well, first of all, not just the ability to reason, but also the ability to sympathize, empathize, feel, predict, plan, conjecture, to have mercy, forgiveness, to be able to be introspective.
I love that. I love that about us human beings.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm not being sarcastic.
No, but we human beings are exceptional, actually. I mean, versus the beasts of the wild, of which we should appreciate and adore. But again, more beyond that, we come after this from a soft religious view, because you don't have to be Christian to believe this, that the human being has innate, inherent, embedded, let's just say, dignity that a fox does not.
Right. Yeah. So what you just did there is kind of like my argument here. You're saying that like because we're human, we are more developed. We have higher cognitive reasoning. We're able to sympathize, emotion, and reason, do all these great things. Right. But the thing is, well, I guess that's a religious belief, though.
Well, that's an interesting question.
I think that consciousness is the soul,
and that's why if you don't believe in God, it's easy to go want to murder a bunch of people. And I'm not criticizing you. It goes back to just a common theme here. If you believe in God, every human being has dignity.
Well, you're kind of intuition pumping there about saying if it's murder, because we haven't really discussed, we haven't even agreed on whether the zygote is
of course,
a human being,
if it's a human being and the elimination of human life is murder. But that's fine. We're just, this is why it's very hard to change people that don't believe in God to be pro-life, because you don't necessarily believe that human life is necessarily special.
No, I mean I do.
But you might think it's like unique and it's like interesting.
It is
but you don't believe it's made in the image of a creator.
Okay, yeah.
And that's fine. And that's why we tend to be the pro-life champions, and those that don't believe in God don't. And that's okay.
Okay.
It's just that clarity is important for the audience.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going back and forth. I'm sure you got a whole lot. I'm gonna give it to more people. But you've
been great.
I do want to have a good question with you. A question about. That I want to leave off on is, so it seems like I think you're pretty set in stone in this position, and I would like to ask, what would I have to do or prove to show you in order to convince you that pro-life isn't the answer that society should be seeking for?
I mean, it would be an impossibility. You have to prove to me God doesn't exist.
Okay, so then we can agree that like this is just a moral issue that you're appealing to a book.
Of course, I mean all moral issues appeal to an authority. Obviously, why is murder wrong?
I mean, because the reason, if you want to talk about morality, we can talk about morality too.
Abortion is a moral issue, of course it is.
Yeah. But the reason why
our whole conversation is laced with morality.
But in order to kind of like reduct it to like a textbook or a book or a specific like
thing, why? Where do you get your morality from?
Well, I think morality should be based on like what is the best choice of action to help society progress.
Okay, okay, got it. What if society agrees we should kill the dumb people?
Well, probably not the best.
Well, but why?
Well, the thing is, the thing is, pragmatically that doesn't work out.
Yes, it does. In Iceland, it's mandatory to abort Down syndrome babies.
Okay.
It's best, right? Down syndrome people are a strain on society. Why do you say it's wrong?
I mean, because there's some degree of like we should protect some people.
Why? By what standard? Why are you appealing to? I appeal to a book. What do you appeal to?
The thing is, I think like there's still some value to
why?
people.
What standard? Is that your opinion, or is there something transcendent telling you that?
No, there's something transcendent because like there is some sacredity to life, and that's what I agree with. I agree that life is sacred. That's why I would agree that if you adopted a more broader pro-life stance, I think I would be more on side of that. Like if you want to have a society where we're forcing women to breed and pump out children, then I would say you would have to create that society where like it is more able for them to do that, and in addition to not be indiscriminate between life. So I think I would agree with that sentiment, right?
Thank you for your time.
What a strange and troubling time we now live in. It's very strange. Where so many of the fundamental morals and values that once guided us have seemed to be completely forgotten and abandoned. It feels like people are increasingly disconnected from common sense, basic principles of right and wrong. What happened? And the loss of these shared ethical standards is actually evident in the arguments and the ideas that these ladies are presenting. And it's sad. It's a clear sign of how much our culture is struggling to hold on to moral compass in the face of rapid change. It's sad. Where did the common sense go? What happened? I really miss the good old days, the times where there was a clear sense of identity and purpose. Do you remember those days when we knew exactly who we were and what we stood for? Yes, back then there was actually a stronger connection to tradition, tradition and conservative values, common sense, common understanding of what mattered in life. It felt like people had a solid foundation, a sense of belonging, and confidence in their roles within families and communities at large. But nowadays, it often feels like that clarity and certainty has faded away. It feels that way, and many are left feeling confused without a clear sense of direction at all. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, always know this. When we attempt to remove God from society, we strip away the moral foundation that holds justice, integrity, and order. Throughout history, the most effective way to weaken or to destroy a nation has always been to corrupt and mislead its young people. That has always been the way. That has always been the way. The enemy knows it all too well. He does. And his number one strategy is to target the minds and the hearts of the young people. That's what he do. He does it through distorted education, destructive entertainment, moral confusion, and the erosion of faith and family. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And if he can compromise the integrity, the identity, and purpose of the next generation, the collapse of that nation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. It becomes inevitable. And these days, it seems that many colleges and universities, they have drifted far from upholding the strong moral foundations and cultural values that they were once known for. Yes, this is happening in broad daylight. Instead of being places where they are cultivating integrity and good morals, they appear now to prioritize something else, the woke agendas, or that brainwashing. That seems to be the main focal point now. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What used to be institutions dedicated to shaping moral, grounded individuals, they are now in most cases environments where virtue has been replaced by something else. Moral degradation, brainwashing, all that stuff. And it's sad, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. There is great wisdom to be found in seeking advice from many people. In the multitude of counsel is wisdom. in the multitude of counsel is wisdom. When we surround ourselves with a multitude of counselors, people with experience, people with insight, diverse perspectives, we are more likely to make thoughtful, sound decisions in life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because no one knows everything. No one knows everything. So by listening to others, we gain new knowledge, new clarity. We avoid making mistakes. You see, we avoid making mistakes, and the benefit can be mutual. The benefit can be mutual because true wisdom often emerges when we humble ourselves enough to learn from the guidance of others. Yeah.